We got him. Coach Mike McCarthy, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Coach, welcome aboard. We're glad you're with us this morning. Is today Thursday in your world?
Today's Thursday, workload day for us on our weekly schedule.
So
we just bumped everything back a day.
So Saturday be fast and furious. That'll be the run through. We'll get a better idea about how all those injuries are going. And we heard yesterday, Coach, your update with everybody. I know that it hadn't been that long. Any positive news to report after yesterday afternoon as far as those that might have been out anyway?
Amari practiced, so that was positive, and the other guys are, seeing them in their weight room work and so forth. They're still in the rehab, so yeah, everybody's getting better. But I thought Amari looked good yesterday.
That's good news. A rib issue there, correct?
Correct, yes.
Coach Mike McCarthy joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds, as he joins us every week, only outside of out of Dallas, right here. Coach, a couple questions about your defense. The turnovers, man, we know that we talk about it more this year, but this has been a trend that began last season. I'm curious, Coach, when you look at your defense and how they're getting the turnovers, is it about attitude or skill, and which would you choose? What's the more important trait here about pulling the turnovers that you've gotten?
Well, I would take attitude over skill,
right.
But I think you're seeing the combination of both, and just got to give our players a tremendous amount of credit, and it's only going to get harder because teams will obviously recognize it, that we're the trend is intact here now, and it's really the commitment from the staff and the players on the team fundamentals, and really on both sides too, because for as good as our defense is, it's making our offense better, because that was clearly not a strength of ours last year, protecting the football. So it's just like anything in coaching and training. Football team, you have so much time on the field, and how you spend your time, and it's just a reflection of the emphasis of our team fundamentals, and we're off to an excellent start this year, taking that ball away.
It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's certainly a product of a plan, and that goes all the way to your practice squad, guys you bring in, attitudes that they've got, and I think it's reflected in Jaron Kearse. First of all, he's huge at safety, but boy, did you find something?
Him, man. That was not a lot of complaining about officiating, but my God, that was he couldn't have played that any better. That was a big time interception he had.
Well, everything that he's done, what a pleasant surprise he's been, considering the situation that he was thrust into with the injuries that you guys are dealing there on the backside of the defense.
Oh, definitely. No, he's been a big time player for us in the first 2 weeks, and it just gives us great matchup ability, particularly with some of these bigger tight ends that are coming down the road, and just the way he tracks that football, and also he's played very well on special teams too. So he's been a great addition for us.
You find a 6'4" safety, you mold and take care of that. That's an impressive thing to watch. Coach Mike McCarthy joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star, our weekly update in preparation for a big Monday night game against a parentheses rival. Ask Coach Sirianni by his shirt. Now, Coach, I'm curious about the offensive output you guys have shown, and Kellen Moore's calling in preparation for a game. You're an OC at heart. I mean, the maturation and the process of becoming a beginning, a new newbie OC, and then the growth. Tell us about your process and what you've seen in Kellen Moore, because I think by every measure, you guys have put together really remarkably good game plans. And, it's one thing to have a plan, another one to follow through with it after you get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson will say. But it has been impressive so far. Speak to Kellen Moore's growth or what you see in him this year.
Well, I think Kellen does an excellent job. I love the way, he puts together the plan, with the staff. I think you're seeing, the year two, process of the staff and the connection that they have, having a full off season to, go back through the things that we went through last year, and, just the growth of, the quarterback room and the connection that the play caller has to have with Dak. And so, yeah, I think he's off to an excellent start. I've been very, very pleased with the way Kellen operates.
In your growth through coaching, certainly mentors mean a lot, and having those guys to kind of mirror. What was the progress for you? What was the difference between your first or second year into your third year to where you really began to feel like, hey, I've got control of all this? What are the things you have to learn?
Well, the first thing is, you got to get total control of the language and really the adjustments, and be proactive with it. That's the biggest thing in coordinating. And you really got to guard against, too much volume. And it's no different from my approach with him. One thing I really came away with in the year out was, when you look at the coordinators, particularly in the case of being a head coach and you still call it, if you're going to call it, you need to install it. So just to make sure that he has, total comfort and belief in what we're doing each week, because, at the end of the day, when you get out there on Sundays or Monday nights, you got to believe in every call, and it's got to fit. It can't be somebody else's. You're doing it for
Right.
somebody else, and so forth. And I think Kellen is really in tune with what he believes and what he wants to do. Because it's an excellent offensive staff, and all guys have really good ideas, but you can't do everything. That's when
Right.
that's when it gets diluted, and you just really got to guard against too much. And I think he's done an excellent job of just fine tuning exactly what he believes in each week, because he's calling it. So and he has to have total belief in each call, and more importantly, it's got to be connected to Dak. And I think that they both have come to the means at the end of the week, and we've had two excellent game plans, and more importantly, we're able to execute.
Absolutely. Coach Mike McCarthy right here on San Antonio Sports Star, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds every week. Coach, looking at Philly, and much is going to be made of the shirt that Sirianni had on. Big deal. But the fact is, it is a district or a conference game, and familiarity brings contempt. And the Eagles, this is a little bit different type of team than you've played the first two. A little bit bigger offensive line, a little bit more of a mobile type quarterback. And prep for that, and you look at what Coach Quinn has had to deal with his revolving door on the defensive line. How do you approach this kind of quarterback? And certainly I don't want to scheme, but this is the growing thing. You're going to have quarterbacks that want to run a little bit and get a little bit more movement to the edges. Getting ready for this against this offensive line with the different types. Speak to Dan Quinn and what you do against these modern quarterbacks that will just as quickly head around the edge as they will pass it to the corner.
Well, you just look the way the personnel's laid out. This offense is about space and speed, and they got tremendous ability and speed in the perimeter, and they got a massive offensive line that can move. So this is a huge challenge. It's definitely different than the first two offenses we competed against. So, the how we play and what we do is important, but most importantly, we got to keep this team in check because there's a lot of ability there to make big plays. So, and the offensive line is relatively healthy. Brooks is out, but it's a big athletic offensive line, and they've done a really good job with creating this college style offense. But it's the space and the speed. And their ability to make plays with the ball has been impressive.
I like that term, college-style offense. I'm not sure how that equates anymore. I see the same offense Friday night here in high school all the way to Sunday afternoon. Mike McCarthy.
That's why.
We're a little bit more forward-thinking.
Like college.
Very true. We're going to have a Friday night light game tonight. Probably have 15,000 people watching it down here in San Antonio. He is Mike McCarthy, head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys, right here on San Antonio Sports Star. We talk about the things you've had to deal with real quickly. Your emphasis on how the practice squad is used has to have altered over the last 2 years. Do you have extra hours devoted to that now? Because we know next man up, and guys could be gone at the drop of a hat or at the drop of a test. How are you handling the practice squad in preparation for this season? Because it has to be very different from what you've dealt with maybe even just 2 years ago.
Well, I'll say this. I love the new roster structure. It's probably one of the positives that have come out of the pandemic. So the ability to have this many players on campus has been awesome. I'm all for it. I hope they keep it this way moving forward. We're trying to, we coach everybody the same way. So it's not that this category of player gets coached one way and versus the other. So even all four quarterbacks. If you were at the quarterback school, you see all four guys taking reps, and so we continue to always try to develop the young player. That's something I've always done. My past is, in Green Bay, we were always the youngest team in the league. I think we're, here in Dallas, we're the third youngest team in the league right now. So, draft and develop the process of it is something I'm very familiar with. So you got to continue to always develop those guys. Today, at the end of practice, we're going to have a young guys period just so they get some live reps. So it's a big part of how we work here.
Coach Mike McCarthy right here on San Antonio Sports Star. First of all, I want to apologize for not having breakfast for you this morning, nor a co-host. You know, when there was a clip that we saw in Hard Knocks, you guys standing on the field, and you get word that Coach Quinn is not going to be available to you. Well, we kind of got that this morning and last night. So as we got contact traced, your tacos will be there next week. I want to apologize for not having breakfast with us this morning. We appreciate you stopping by, Coach. Congratulations on a spectacular beginning of the season. We're looking forward to a good game on Monday night. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
He is Coach Mike McCarthy, and he is here on San Antonio Sports Star every Friday, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds.